everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be painting this hedgehog. The materials you're going to be needing today are glitter, Q-tips, some glue, a flat or angled brush and a round brush, a traceable that can be found in my Google Classroom, a piece of graphite paper, 4 small pieces of masking tape, and some paint. The colors of paint you're going to need are phthalo green. This is going to be a mixture of burnt sienna and white, yellow, white, black, burnt umber, purple, and pink. Like with other paintings that we do, we're going to want to transfer our image onto our canvas. In order to do that, we're going to take our graphite paper, the shiny side touching the canvas so you see the matte side. You're going to take one piece of tape, tape the side, take another piece, tape this side to hold it in place. You're going to take this guy, lay him right on top, and tape it down. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take a pin or the end of your paintbrush and you're going to trace over your whole image and transfer it onto the canvas. I'm going to fast forward through this part while I transfer mine. Once you think you've traced your entire image, you can peek behind and make sure that you didn't miss any areas. It doesn't look like I missed anything, so I'm going to take my tape and peel it off. And your image will now be on your canvas. I'm going to set this off to the side because I don't need it anymore for now. The first thing we're going to do is put our background in. I want to start with the area behind our hedgehog. We're going to make that a gray color. You can have some areas that are a little bit darker. You'll notice that you do not have gray on your palette, and that's okay. We're going to be using white and black to get this effect back here. You're going to take your flat brush or angle brush, get it damp. You don't want too much water on it. You're going to take your paint and you're going to double load your brush with white and a little bit of black to start with. If you want to darken it up, you can add a little bit of black in a minute. So I'm going to take white and black on my brush. So you'll see that I have both on my brush, and I'm going to go and paint everything that is above the ground and around my hedgehog and leaves. I'm going to fast forward through this part while I paint my background. You'll notice that I've painted over my flowers because it was really difficult. If it's easier for you to paint around your flowers and then fill them in, by all means, I want you to do that. However, it is possible to paint over that whole area if you are having difficulty painting it, and we can just add them in a minute once this is dry. It's been a while since I've painted this painting, and I forgot that we actually paint the gray inside his body as well. We can't be perfect every time, folks. So I'm gonna splice this in whenever I'm actually painting my background. Sorry it's out of order. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to dry our canvas so that I can flip it upside down. However, the top of it is still kind of wet, so I'm going to dry it first. All right, we're back and it's all dry. I'm going to flip my canvas upside down and we're going to paint the ground. We're gonna do this with this burnt umber, the dark brown, and a little bit of black. Again, we're gonna double load our brush. I'm going to use my flat angle brush so that I can cover a little bit more area a little bit faster. So I'm gonna grab some of that burnt umber and a little bit of black. I'm going to paint the ground and speed this up while I get this painted. I'm going to let this dry and put another layer on in a minute so that it's not quite so see-through. Alright, I've let the first layer of this dry. I'm going to go ahead and apply my second layer now, and I will see you when I'm done. I've painted the second layer on my ground now, and it's not quite so see-through. I'm going to dry this so that I don't accidentally get my hand in it and I can flip it back upright. I'll see you when it's dry. Our ground and our background are done. We're now going to move on to painting the body of our hedgehog. So our hedgehog has this really nice peachy skin color, and then the leg and foot behind it are a little bit darker because they're further away. For this, we're going to be using that color that we mixed, and that's going to be this burnt sienna and white mixture, and they've turned that nice peachy color. Let me just wipe the end of my brush off, and now I'm going to paint my hedgehog. I'm going to add the darker color that's behind the hand and on the foot. The way we're going to do that is we're going to double load our round brush using some of that peach color and a little bit of that dark brown burnt umber. I'm just gonna get a little bit, and it's gonna darken it up just a little tiny bit, so it's just a little bit on there. And I'm going to, I don't have quite enough, grab a little bit more. It looks like I got a little too much peach that time, so I'm just gonna clean off a bunch of that peach. Here we go. That's better. I'm gonna do that with the other one as well. I just had too much paint on my brush at first. You'll notice that I also painted over my eye when I painted the skin color, and that's okay. It's just like what I did with the leaves. Some things are just easier to paint back in instead of going around them. And I will eventually get you guys to where we don't have to have a traceable at all. So I'm just mixing a little bit more burnt umber with that peach to make sure that it's just slightly darker than the color we just put on. I'm using the tippy toes of my brush to make sure that I stay in these lines because I don't want them to get bigger than the ones in front. Perfect. I'm gonna clean out my brush and we're gonna move on. We're now going to add the nose in. I want you to take your black and I want you to fill in the nose completely black at first. And while your nose is still wet, I want you to grab a little bit of white on your brush. You don't have to clean your brush. And starting up here in the top little corner area, you're just going to mix in a little bit of that white into your black and it's gonna turn it a little gray. And you just wanna make it messy and scribble it in. It's gonna look like your nose has a little bit of a shine on it. Just like that. We're gonna come back and add a brighter white spot here in a minute after that dries. I'm gonna clean out my brush because it has a bunch of white and black. And we're going to take some black and we're gonna add our eyeball in right here. You might have already painted around yours, just like so. This is where you're going to need your Q-tips. I want you to grab white. I want you to dip your Q-tip in your white paint, just the tip, like that. You're going to find the outside edge of where our hedgehog's body was. And you're going to do that by just dabbing very lightly around where the edge of your body would be. You don't want these circles too close together because we're gonna add some other colors. And you notice the harder you press, you'll get little empty spots from there being no color in between. And you're going to just have to keep on dabbing it. And that's all the white that I wanna do around the edge. And I'm gonna come in and I'm just going to add some dots around the inside. You can get your color to lay right here on the edge where your colors meet, but you don't wanna go over it too much. Very nice. So now I have all of my white in, and I'm going to move on to another color. I'm going to take my Q-tip and I'm going to just flip it over, and I'm going to use the other end. This time I'm going to use purple. I'm going to dip it in my purple and I'm going to go around my body, and around right now where there's no white, I'm going to add purple dots. You're going to take your Q-tip and just lay it on your paint palette or on a paper towel. You're going to grab another Q-tip and you're going to switch to the next color. I'm going to do pink next. All right, I've added my pink dots, so I'm going to go ahead and switch to my next color. I'm going to add some yellow dots to my background. So I'm going to switch to the other end of my Q-tip and grab some yellow dots. Perfect. We're going to come back and add some more colors here in a minute once we use up some more of our colors on other places where we can't have them mixed. I'm gonna set my Q-tip down and we're gonna go back over to our little flower leaves things that he's holding. So I'm gonna grab my round brush and we're gonna make the stems first. Now, if you still have your stems here, you can just follow along with the green. Otherwise, you can just add them in with me whenever I add them in. I'm gonna grab some green on my brush. And using the tippy toes of my brush, I'm going to come here to his hands and I'm going to bring a stem straight out here like that. I'm gonna go over it again to make sure it's nice and filled in. Perfect. I'm gonna add another stem underneath that. I'm gonna come here. I'm gonna come close to where this one is and I'm going to add the second one. It's gonna curve out a little bit. I'm gonna add one more and it's gonna curve down just a little bit. It's gonna come to right here and it's going to droop down a little bit. And you're going to make 3 little short stems coming out of the bottom of his hand to make it look like he's holding them. I'm gonna put one more layer on just to make sure it's nice and filled in. I want you to take your colors and I want you to color in your leaves. You can make them whatever color you want. I'm going to use some of this green for one of my leaves. You can use any colors that you used on the back of your hedgehog, or you can use colors that you have not used on your back. I'm going to be using the greens, the yellows, and the pinks. And if you want, you can add a little bit of white with these leaf colors and it will make them a little bit more opaque, just so it covers up some of that gray if you went over a little bit. This phthalo green is going to turn into a minty color with this white added onto it. I'm not going to worry about overly blending it. Like that. I'm going to put another one of those down here on the bottom, and I lost it a little bit whenever I painted my ground in, so I just have to plop them back in. There. I'm going to go ahead and paint my other ones and I'll see you when I'm done. All right, I have my leaves in, so I'm going to clean out my brush and we're going to paint the little leaves that are on the stems that we're holding in our hands. We want to use the same colors that we painted our leaves around our body. If you covered up your little leaves with gray paint, I can show you how to paint them back in. Otherwise, you're just going to go ahead and fill them in. I'm going to grab a little bit of yellow and a little bit of white on my brush, so I've got it double loaded on there. You're going to come to your stem and you're going to draw a little parenthesis-like shape going one way, and then you're going to come backwards the other way, and you're just going to put these little leaves on your stems. If you want your leaves to be ovals, you can make them ovals. If you just are filling them in, just fill them in. And you're just going to use the colors from your leaves up here and add them to your stem. Now that we have all of our leaves done, we're going to add a couple details to our face before we go back to the back of our hedgehog. We're going to grab a little bit of that white and we're going to put a dot in his eye, and we're going to put a little mark on the very tip of his nose so it looks extra shiny. You can clean out your brush. Before we move back to our Q-tips, I want you to use the end of your brush and I want you to make some little dots. I like to put the little dots around the very edge of the hedgehog's back so that it looks like it fades out a little more gradually. You can do this in any color that you'd like. I'm going to move back to my Q-tips for a minute, and I'm just going to add a little bit of color where I think that it would look really nice. I especially want to mix up some of that mint green and maybe put a few of the dark green dots on my back as well. You can also go back to the lighter colors if you want to add some of those. If you would like to mix any colors at this time, you can also mix some of your colors. So if you add a little bit of that pink and yellow together, you'll get an orange. If you add some of that white and that phthalo green together, you'll get a mint color. You can mix the yellow and the phthalo green together and you'll get a lime color. All right, so that is all of the dots that I'm going to put. We have one more step to do, and that's going to be the glitter. However, we need this to dry first before we can put our glitter on. I'm going to dry this with a heat gun, and I will be right back so that we can add our glitter. For this part of the project, I've taken the canvas off of the easel and I'm going to use it on a flat surface. If you're already using a flat surface, then you can just leave it where it's at. I like to take a blank piece of paper to catch all of my glitter, and I pre-fold it in half so that I can save some of my glitter and pour it back in the container. So I'm going to lay that there and lay this on top. If you have glue in a small container, you're just going to use a Q-tip just like you did with the paint, and you're going to dot the glue on. I'm going to be using a bottle of the glue and just putting dots on with the bottle. I'm going to go around and just add little dots of glue. If you're using it straight from the bottle, just make sure that your dots aren't too big and that they aren't too wide. You just want them to look kind of like your paint. So I don't want too many, but I just want enough to add a little bit of flair to our painting. I'm now going to take my glitter. You might have it in a jar like this, you might have it in a packet or in a little container. No matter what, you're still going to put this on the same way, and you just want to shake it around all of your glue dots. You're going to use more than you actually need, and we're going to shake off the extra. If you have a very small container that doesn't have tons and tons of glitter, you're going to do this in 2 steps. You're going to put on as much as you can the first time, shake it off onto your paper, and then you're going to reapply it again until all of your glue is covered. I just have to make sure that all of my glue dots are covered. Perfect. Now you're going to move your glitter out of the way so that you don't actually accidentally spill it. You're going to carefully pick up your hedgehog and you're going to tap him onto this paper that's going to catch your extra glitter, and it's all going to fall off. And I'm just going to tap it to get all of the extra glitter to release. Turn it this way, tap it again. And now I have little dots of glitter all over my canvas. If you have any little bits of glue that are still showing, they will dry clear and you'll just be left with the glitter. Your dots will sink down just a little bit once your glue dries. And I have all of this glitter on my paper now. To save all of that, you just remove the cap from your glitter very carefully. You take your paper, refold it, shake it all into the crease, and then you're gonna shake it back carefully into your container so that you don't spill it. If you didn't have enough glitter to cover all of your hedgehog the first round, you're going to take this glitter after you shake it back into your container and you're going to reshake it onto your hedgehog and just repeat this step. You might have little bits of glitter that got stuck to your canvas around here. I wouldn't worry about that until all of this is dry, and you can just rub it off a little bit later, or it will just naturally fall off on its own as it needs to. Or if you just want to leave it there, you can also do that. Thank you for joining me today in painting our hedgehogs. I'll see you in the next video.